If you don't know how to do something, should you do it at all?
Are we always responsible for our actions?
Can you love somebody who you don't trust?
Philosophy for children is an approach to sort of teaching, I suppose, where what you're doing is you're getting students to engage in a philosophical inquiry.
We move all the tables out the way and then we put chairs around in a circle and then the teacher will sit in the middle and ask us questions.
Question always comes from little things. We talk about all the concepts. After we rearrange it into questions.
They vote on the questions that they've generated, choose one, and then they spend the remainder of the session debating that question philosophically with each other.
I think racism is when someone is targeting another person because they have features such as maybe hair colour, their race, their country background.
2, 1, let it go!
My original thinking was that we needed to look for a way in which we could develop young people's confidence to explore topics, to develop their oracy, and to really, in a way, build the vocabulary and the language of discussion and the language of debate in order to help them to think more deeply about topics and therefore write in greater detail and achieve those higher grades at GCSE and A level.
As a secondary school, there are a couple of different models that we could follow when introducing P4C. We could have done it as a drop day, we could have done it through tutor time, and we did for a while do it as a discrete lesson. But now we're moving to putting it within the curriculum and firmly embedding it in the schemes of work for humanities and for English.
So for example, in citizenship, learning about democracy and dictatorships, we used a P4C lesson to look at what were Hitler's qualities and to what extent would people fight for their freedoms. The beauty of it is that the students get a chance to think through their ideas, say them out loud, listen to those of others, and then decide, well, does that consolidate their opinions or is there going to be a shift?
I think it's really good for them to learn that, it's okay to disagree on things, it's okay to have different opinions, that's a positive and a healthy thing. And to open up issues and just put them out there and give them a chance to talk about them, I think is really, really powerful.
We then use those discussions to draw on in assessment lessons because it's so much easier as a teacher for me to say, what did you say in that discussion? Do you remember what John said or Sarah said? As a reference point for them, which then builds their confidence because a blank sheet of paper is often quite threatening. But if we're using what they've said and what they know and what they've heard, it's often easier for them to access an assessment.
In P4C, we learn about how relationships work and what people say and how they can really affect someone and hurt someone.
P4C is a place where you can express your feelings, your ideas or your opinions.
They're getting these skills, I think, partly because they are driving what's happening in the classroom. So rather than the traditional model of a teacher who sets up a series of learning activities which students go through, actually all the teacher's doing is facilitating the start of that conversation.
Independent research has shown that P4C, done once a week over an academic year, can increase IQ by an average of 6 points, and we know that this is going to have a significant effect at GCSE, and that's something we're really looking forward to seeing at Bow School.
My other subjects like English, it helped me a lot because I couldn't speak properly. Now I can speak and give reason about my opinions.
We've only been doing P4C start of this academic year, and since that time I've really noticed pupils caring and listening to one another, and that's new.
I've spoken more in classes, answered more questions.
I feel much more confident in other classes, and that's due to philosophy and how I talk to my peers and how they respond back to me in a positive way.
If you want to foster active learning, academic literacy and independent thinking in your classroom, P4C is a really good tool to do this. Students independently think up a question, they discuss that question, and all you're doing is facilitating that. That's a really important skill to foster, and P4C builds that.